Good morning. How are you diddling? Excellent. Me too. Thank you very much for asking. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to another episode of Dazed and Confused, where we answer your where I answer your social media and video questions, and also give you some help and tips about what you could be doing to try and take your brand a little bit further during these strange times. We're on to a brand new schedule this week. I have been doing 7 days a week, every single day going live for the last 10, 11 weeks or whatever it's been. So you've had like 70 shows. So from this week onwards, we're going live Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Give me a little bit of a break in between, and also it gives you a chance to need that in. Gives you a chance to ask me some questions as well. So hopefully you will do. This morning, as always, we are live on Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and hopefully we'll stay live on Instagram Live, but I'm having to piggyback off my phone to make my internet work this morning. So who knows how long this will last for, but hopefully you stay live as long as we stay live on all the other channels as well. Good morning to you if you've just joined us watching on any of the other platforms, especially good morning to Scott, who's just said morning. So thank you very much for saying hello. And if you are sat there right now and you've never said hello before, say hello, type it into the comments, maybe even ask a question about social media, about video for your brand and for your business. First things first, though, who the hell am I to tell you anything? Well, I'm Simon Scholes. I'm the founder and creative director of Perception Studios. We're an award-winning visual marketing agency, and we help brands and businesses create content that helps them stand out on social media, be it video, animation, aerial work, graphics, all sorts of different types of things. And if you want to know more about that, just drop me a line. We can have a chat about that for your brand and for your business. However, a few years ago, it became obvious to me that I needed to try and help people on a consultation basis as well, because a lot of brands and businesses don't have the budget to have content created on a regular basis. But that's what you need for social media. You need to be consistent. You need to be always showing up. So how do you do that? Well, you create content. But how do you do that if you don't have the budget? Well, I taught you how to do it for free. And that's what I've done. I've created a process called How to 9 Times Your Social Media. I turned it into a former #1 book, and basically it's a process that where you create one piece of content and make that piece of content work harder for you, multiple pieces of content to go forwards with, to use on your social media marketing, and so that you don't end up having a scattergun approach to what it is that you're talking about. So rather than creating a piece of content as a blog and then waiting a while and then doing the same piece of content as a video and then waiting a while and then doing it as an image, you do them all together to make life easy for yourself, and then you have that content to push out for an entire week, and then you do the process over and over and over again. And so you end up with consistent content that's on brand, on message, and not scattergunning the approach and not really knowing what you're going to be talking about on each of the different channels. So this morning, we're going to talk about the start of that process, how you can get to that point of actually creating that content planning, which is essential for many brands, for many businesses. And there are some great websites I'm going to mention. I'm not going to give you the actual web addresses. I'll put those in the description box below, so you can just go click on them and go and see what they are. But I'm going to describe what it is I kind of do with my clients. So should we start there? So planning is essential. When you start the year out, or even when you start your business out, whenever it is in the year, most people will sit down and put together their goals. Some people will call them New Year's resolutions. Some people will put together a proper goal list, actually how they want to see their business and themselves develop over the next year, whatever it might be. But I think that basically planning is an essential process for any brand, for any business, because you've set your goals, but marketing is just as important. And if you don't have a plan to your marketing, then how do you expect it to work? How do you expect yourself to even do it? Because so many people will create content in this mishmash hazard way of, I've not done anything on Instagram for ages, I better do something. But if you have a plan in place, you end up knowing what you're going to be talking about week on week, day by day, month by month, whatever it might be. And so you have this plan that you can go back to and call upon and go, okay, so today is National Garfield Day, which it was on Saturday, Garfield the cat. So then you can tie your content back into certain things. But because you've got that plan in place, you end up not panicking. you don't end up going, oh my God, I've got to write a blog by Friday and I've no idea what I'm going to talk about. You've already put that plan in place. Now, what I do personally is at the start of the year, I set aside a couple of weeks, call it Hell Week, even though it's Hell Fortnight, and sit down and basically go through what I'm going to be talking about over the entire year. And I look at all the different subject matters, what's happening, what national events and all that kind of stuff, and get it all into a calendar, so I have a good default diary of what I'm going to be talking about on a regular basis. Now, this year, things obviously changed quite dramatically with COVID-19 coming about. And so what I did was, the minute we all went into lockdown, I knew I wanted to do these lives, but I knew I wanted to be prepared. So rather than just diving in and doing it, I put some time aside, I sat down, I planned what I'm going to talk about, and then I got a plan together to talk about different subject matters all the way up to last Friday. In fact, it went to the end of this month, really, but up to last Friday, I did about how to 9 times your social media, and that was my final piece. And I was hoping by then we'd be out of this situation. Obviously, we're not. Not everybody is. Some people are back in work, some people aren't. But we still need to, if we can, to continue to build our brand and our business. Whatever business you're in, whatever brand you have, if you don't continue to build on it, then people are going to forget about it as we come out the other side of lockdown. There is a very good chance you might be cannibalized by somebody else within your marketplace. So why would you not take the time to sit down and do a little bit of planning and just know what you're going to be talking about? Because I want to get you consistent with your content creation. That's the be all and end all here, is you've got to be consistent. So if you plan, then it takes away that fear set of, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about. So how do I plan? So I have a calendar. Everybody's got a calendar on the computer or on the phone or what have you. I've set together like a simple spreadsheet. And what I do is I've made each of the months up together, and I just type in when I'm going to be creating content and what I'm going to be talking about. So I go, okay, week 1 is week 1 of the year. What am I going to be talking about that week? Week 2, week 3, week 4, and do all 52 weeks. And then I can look at those subject matters and I can break them down. Now, you don't necessarily have to do this. It's something I do. And it's something a lot of big brands will do, is have an overhead banner of a product or an area. And then they break it down into lots of small segments so that they can sell off that main banner. So the main banner becomes the headline and doesn't confuse people, and then you can break down those into little segments so that you can try and sell off those little arms. So a bit like IKEA, and I use these guys as an example all the time, they will sell bedrooms, but bedrooms isn't all they're selling. Bedrooms consists of beds, mattresses, pillows, duvets, duvet cases, pillowcases. It could be cushions, it could be lamps, bedside tables, all sorts of things that can go into your bedroom, but they do it all underneath the banner of bedrooms and then sell down from that. And that's what I try to do with my content, is on a weekly basis, or when I originally planned it for the year, it was on a weekly basis, would have my headline act, whatever that might be, and then funnel down from that into lots of smaller pieces of content. And so that's how I plan my year, basically, is I look at what different events, what things are happening throughout the year, what different awareness days, awareness months are happening, that I can make brand to, that will work for my brand. Because if you remember the other day, I was chatting about trending topics. It's important not to just jump onto a trend for the hell of it. And it's exactly the same with awareness days. It's not worth jumping onto an awareness day if there's no real connection between you and your business because of it. So, for example, you could be an accountancy firm and not see any connection between you and National Bee Week. That's fine. So don't create content about National Bee Week. Find something else that you can create content about. And just remember that not everything has to be tied back into an awareness day. It's nice if you can, because when you put that content out on different channels and you hashtag that on awareness day, then people searching for that awareness day will see your content pop up, and there's more of a chance of them consuming it, potentially getting value and becoming a fan of your content, or possibly even becoming a customer somewhere further down the line. But without that plan in place, you would have just ended up scattergunning your approach, not really talking about anything in particular, not knowing what you were going to talk about here, there, and everywhere. You'd have just been talking about different subject matters all over the place. So I would recommend right now, we're coming up to July. What date are we? We are the 21st, 22nd, something like that. So I would recommend right now sitting down and planning the first 2 weeks of July. maybe even all 4 weeks of July, and just sit down and go, right, what am I going to talk about each week? You don't have to break it down into segments, but just look at what's happening around the world. Look at what awareness days are taking place and see how they could maybe align with your business, how you could write content around it. To give you an example, this is the example I use all the time because it was really successful. I was working with a leadership coach. We sat down and planned the entire year. And then at the end of it, we decided that the first piece of content was going to go out the next day. The reason being, the next day was May the 4th. And I decided that what I thought would be a really great piece of content, because they're a leadership coach, would be to write a piece about the fact that the architect of the Death Star missed the weakness, so it got blown up, costing thousands, well, millions, billions, whatever the Death Star cost to build, because Darth Vader was a shitty boss and took his mind off the job. So that piece of content worked really, really well, and got some really good traction for that person. And yeah, with Bob's your uncle. So what could you do along the same lines? So have a look at some of the awareness days. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some awareness day calendars down in the description box after this live is finished. Go and take a look at them. There are loads of them out there. Just type in awareness days and your area onto Google. You'll find calendars popping up left, right, centre. Awareness days UK, awareness days America, awareness days Canada, awareness days Australia, whatever, wherever. Just try and find things that you can tangibly connect your content to, because that will give it a real possibility to be found by different people when you're tagging your content afterwards. That's why you plan. That's why it's so important to plan, because then you know what you're going to talk about. Otherwise, you end up with that situation of, well, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but you know you need to be putting content out. So you do, but you do it half-assed. So it's not really great content. It's not really got a message, and it's not really connected to anything. And then you do something else on a different channel, and that's also half-assed and completely different to the message you're putting out somewhere else. And you end up with this mishmash, confused message going out across all your social media. So hopefully this has convinced you right now that you are going to start planning your content. You're going to sit down and plan July. So we've got, 10 days left of this month, 30 days of September, April, June, and November, so 9 days left of this month. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit down, you're going to plan next month's content. So you've got 9 days to plan it and to maybe even get a start on it, because that's the great thing. When you get a plan in place, you can actually start creating some of the content as well, because you know where you're going with it. And then if things do change, you have that content already ready to go for another time. Or you can, if you don't have any ideas, you fall back into your default diary. But for example, like I say, things changed dramatically when COVID-19 came around for me. That's fine. My diary is not set in stone. It's just there to help me if nothing else is happening in the world. If something happens massive in your arena where you are a voice of authority, it would be crazy for you to not talk about it, because that's effectively working on trending content within your area of expertise. But if there's nothing happening and there's nothing else happening in the world that could maybe tangibly connect to your content, then you've got that diary to fall back on. You've got the content you possibly already created to fall back on. That's there waiting for you to use it. Okay, great. Hopefully you guys are going to start doing some planning once this live is finished today. Quick hello to anybody else who's just joined us, and also to Pink Spaghetti in Reading, and Kev Lawrence as well, who's joined us on Instagram Live. Right, we've got a few questions we're going to go through, and then that will be it for today. It's glorious weather outside. Hopefully you're going to go and enjoy it. Right, let's have a quick look. So let's have a quick see if there's any comments, actually. Scott is going for an interview at 12, a telephone interview, and it says watching to calm down. Brilliant. Hopefully I'm taking your mind off the fact that you've got the interview coming up. And anyway, you know you're going to smash it, so you'll be absolutely fine. But good luck. Fingers crossed and all that, rather than that. fingers actually crossed. Anyway, questions. I got this one through on Twitter that I saw. I'm 14, I'm from Tunisia, and I want to be an adventurer and a documentary maker. What shall I start with? Okay, so they want to be a content creator. By the sound of it, want to make video documentary side of things. So for me, because you are so young, I would recommend 100% wholeheartedly going on adventures with your friends where you can, that you're safe, where you're allowed to go. If your parents say, like, okay, you can't go any further than X, fine. Find where you can go on an adventure with your friends within that area, and go on adventures with them, but film the whole story behind the adventure. And if you can, if where you're going has got a story behind it as well, then tell that story too. That's what documentaries are. Documentaries are a story, but it's not a fiction story, it's a fact-based story. So what story can you tell with your friends when you're going on your adventures locally that would maybe be interesting to people who you know, or even more so, people who might want to visit the area? Think about it that way. Think about maybe trying to expand your audience, that audience that you've got. Yes, your friends will hopefully sit and watch your content and enjoy it because you've been on a bit of a fun adventure with your mates. But what about those people who might go, oh, they've just visited XYZ fort. Well, I really fancy going there. Let's go and have a look at what that content's got to say. And then they can get some sort of education behind it, maybe whatever it costs to get in, the story behind the fort, whether it's haunted, all those kind of things that would be interesting to people who could potentially visit that area. Tell the story, maybe get some interviews with people who work there or have visited there, all those kind of things. Start making your documentaries effectively, but with local content. And then as you get older, that radius of where you can visit will get wider and wider and wider until you can visit the world and tell stories about different places. But you'll also learn what kind of stories you are interested in telling. Is it nature? Is it environment? Is it history? Is it modern day? Is it development? Is it technological? Whatever those stories are that you will enjoy telling. But until you start telling some different stories, you won't know which ones are the ones that you really have a passion behind and that you want to create more of. So that's what I would say is, you're young, stay local, go wherever your parents say you can go, start telling stories about your local area, and then just expand on that area as and when you get older. And hopefully I look forward to seeing some of your content coming out as well. Let me know when you start making it. Quick hello to Chilsky, who has just joined us on Instagram Live. Let's have a look if anybody else has said anything here. Nope. If you do have any questions, by the way, whatever platform you're on, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram Live, stick them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them. 2 more questions. Let's go. What is the best thing a brand can do in terms of marketing on a low budget? First things first, I go on about this all the time. Who is your avatar? Without knowing who you are selling to, then you cannot create content for that person. If you know who your avatar already is, brilliant, then you need to be creating content to them. Knowing the company who got in touch about this, and without wanting to go too deep into who it is, I would definitely tell your audience all about your ethics, what it is that you do, why you do it, your story, that kind of thing. People love that behind the scenes look into why you're doing what you do. The behind the scenes look into why I do what I do is, my dad passed away a few years ago, and I never realized the kind of legacy he had left behind him. And he helped and taught so many different people who work in an engineering background now. My dad was a chief engineer in the Merchant Navy, and he taught so many people how to do the job that they do now. And so many people contacted me after he passed away saying, if it wasn't for your dad, I wouldn't be doing what I do now. And so I wanted to be basically thought of the same way. I wanted to leave a legacy behind. I wanted to help as many people as possible understand the ins and outs of social media. It's not a science. It's not brain surgery. Nobody's dead if you make any mistakes. It's just social media. So I just wanted to get people onto that content creation journey of making stuff on a regular basis. So that's why I do what I do. But why do you do what you do? Tell that story, help people understand why it is you do what you do, and then they will more likely get emotionally bought into your brand. And then you can start giving them more value, and then maybe now and again drop in products and all that kind of stuff. But tell your story. Why is it you do what you do? You can do that on a very low budget. You can do that with your phone and film yourself, or you can do it on Twitter now with voice notes. You can tell your story very quickly in a quick voice note, whatever it might be. But start using the technology that's there available to you for free. You don't need to spend any money. Then when it comes to trying to sell the product a little bit nicer, then you start involving creative agencies who can help you with photography, who can help you with video, creative ideas, agency worth their salt will sit down and go through a load of creative ideas for you that will work across social media, potentially even help you with the distribution, and possibly even putting money behind it. So you've got advertising that's working with the content that's being created, so people can see your product, you're removing a pain point, and they love what it is that you do. But first things first, just start making some stuff for free, tell your story, find a way of telling it, and start doing it. Okay, final question that came in. I have a product which I designed. I spent everything on it. What should I do next? What is the best way to start a company around it? Okay, now I'm hoping there is a place for that product. So many people will create something and there's not a space for it in the market because they're so caught up in the fact that they've got this idea rather than actually trying to suss out whether anybody's going to buy it. So hopefully you've done some research first and people actually do want to buy what it is that you do and what it is that you've created. So if that is the case, fingers crossed you have done your research, then now is the time to start going to talk to those people where they're hanging out, because obviously those people are your ideal client, are your avatar. So once you know who that is, which you hopefully do so, and you know that they need what it is that you've created, then you can reach out to them and say, look, I actually created it now. Would you fancy having a look? And start talking to people about it, tell them about the value behind it, what's the pain point it removes, how does it help them in their lives, whatever it might be. Maybe start telling some of the story. And I think starting a company around it is a great idea. But that product's definitely got to have a need in the first place. So find out if people still need it. Go and start chatting to them. Go start talking to them. Find out where they are, and have a conversation with them, and then tell them you created it. Keep giving them value. Maybe give some of the product away. Get some reviews on it. That kind of stuff. It's difficult to really give you a complete ins and outs without knowing exactly what the product is and so on and so forth. But hopefully that's given you some ideas. It's a bit of a difficult one, but you need to just start talking to the people who you've created it for. That's the most important thing. Okay, let's have a look, see if we've got any questions. Eamon Dodds has just joined us on Instagram Live. Thank you very much for popping in, Eamon. And let's have a look, see if we've got any questions anywhere else. No, things are calm as a calm thing, which is great. Right, okay, 20 odd minutes. I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much for watching as always. If you are brand new and you're either watching the live right now or you're watching a replay or you're listening to the podcast, wherever you are consuming this content, please hit subscribe. Please share the content with your audience if you think they're going to get value from it. I don't want you to just share it just for the hell of it, just because I'm asking you to share it. But if you think your audience, anybody else you know who might run a brand or a business or want to be an influencer or is creating content and maybe needs a little bit of a helping hand, share my content with them. Get them to have some value as well. And hopefully next time we'll have even more questions come in for us to answer. But until then, thank you so much for consuming my content. It really does mean the world to me, whatever way you're actually consuming it, wherever you're consuming it as well. And until Wednesday, don't forget Wednesday, we're not live tomorrow. Wednesday, around about 11 o'clock-ish. Stay safe. Enjoy the weather. It is going to get hotter in the UK this week. So make sure you slop on that sun cream. And I will see you then. Have a good one. And bye.